Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm delighted to have you join us here today on this Thursday. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are with me. And as ever, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel for uncensored, breaking football news and a bit of banter as well. And it's absolutely free. We hope you can join us and share the feed to your friends as well. Tell them all about it. If you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the breaking football news there, as well as being able to watch the programme at your leisure. So, lots to talk about. You can give us your view. Not only can you engage with us on the YouTube feed, you can engage with other football fans to talk about the results and look ahead to the weekend's Scottish Premiership. Ruffy, did it go according to plan in Italy with Napoli and Rangers? 3-0 in the end.
Yeah, well, I think the majority of people thought it would be 4, 5 or 6. That wasn't the case. It's still a defeat. You know, if where we are in European football is we're happy to get beat 3-0 and get out of there, then so be it. Everybody keeps telling us, you know, that we're been a long time since we've been in this situation. So 3-0, I suppose, on the face of things is okay.
Yeah, could it have been more? Did they take their foot off the gas, or did Rangers maybe just get their act together in the second half, Tam?
I thought they took their foot off the gas. I thought that the intensity that Napoli started with the first 20-25 minutes, if they'd have kept that up the full 90, I think it would have been 5 or 6. But I think they obviously, I think at 2-0, I think they knew the game was won. I think they were so far ahead of Rangers in every department. I was so impressed with Napoli, actually. I know we're going to speak about how Rangers didn't really play that well, but I was really impressed with Napoli. Not just on the ball, but off the ball. As soon as they lost the ball, you know, their forward players are wide men all over Rangers to get the ball back. You know, high pressure, high intensity, working hard, and Rangers just couldn't cope with it. And on the ball, they were quality as well. 2 great goals from Simeone. You know, 2 fantastic balls in. Gets in between the 2 centre-halves twice. Great movement and clinical in the box. So, no, I think overall, I think when Rangers supporters looked at 2-0 after 16 minutes, they'd have took 3-0, because I think they were feeling the worst. But I think Napoli did take the foot off the gas, and I think Rangers, you know, didn't want to get embarrassed and came into it a wee bit in the second half.
Yeah, Simeone could have had a hat-trick at any point in the game. Ruffy had more than a few chances as well. I think the key point here about it all, well, we anticipated Napoli were going to win comfortably in the match, is what Tam mentioned there, which was their application to the match, because they were pressing in every area of the field. Every one of them wanted to put a tackle in. It was almost as if it was celebrated like a goal. Yeah,
for me it was like old style Barcelona. You know, I remember somebody saying Barcelona, it's not all about attacking, it's about retaining the ball when you've no got it. And the big Barcelona with the big players used to hunt in packs. You know, as soon as they lost the ball, I think somebody did a survey that it took them about 10 seconds to get it back again. You know, that's what they focused on, you know, getting possession of the ball. And Tam's right, you know, they were like that. I don't think they were as good as the great Barcelona side when they did it, but it was good enough for Rangers. And you could see, even when people were pinging balls into them, they were so comfortable in their touch. They were just touch, laying it, and people with movement and everything. They were so superior in every department.
Yeah, without, you know, really picking bones in it all, because there seems to be this clamour at the moment and real, I don't know, disgruntlement with what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is doing from some Rangers quarters. Not all, I have to say. But were you surprised by his team selection?
A little bit. I think that it was pretty attacking. I think when you look at the team that he put out, I thought it was pretty attacking, but I didn't think it mattered what formation he played, what players he played. I just think Napoli was so superior. And let's not forget, Napoli made 6 changes from the team that beat Roma. They rested all their big guns, you know, and brought them on later in the game. But, you know, was a surprise with his team selection? No. I think that they just wanted to get in there and keep pride intact. But I do agree with you. I think there's a bit of apathy about Rangers at the minute with supporters. You know, I just don't think there's a bit of a disconnect between the fans and the manager. And he's going to have to work really hard to get that back, I think.
I wouldn't narrow it down just to the fans and the manager. There are fans really unhappy with the connection between the board and the way the club's going at the moment. But as far as the 90 minutes, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had a positive outlook on it.
There was a positive one if you compare to all the games we played. We have some good moments in the games, but at too many games we were conceding too many goals, easily. And of course, the biggest example we had against Liverpool at home. But today, after 2-0, we were going forward. I think we were very brave on the ball. We were playing well and created chances.
There was a couple of chances. I mean, Morelos had a couple of chances. Tavernier had a good chance.
Yeah, two of the Morelos chances were the best ones, particularly the second one. The second one, he's got to score. I mean, we were talking about the boy at Shakhtar, having a horrendous miss. That this was just up there because he was right on top of it. He didn't have to stretch for it at end. He just let it go under his foot. The one in the first one, I thought he was just short of pace. I think Morelos a couple of years ago would have run away for the boy and then dispatched it, but the boy was just strolling beside him and put him off. But I keep saying that about the Celtic as well, when they say, we had chances. If you get the other manager, he'll be saying we had more chances than them. You know what I mean? You know, it's okay saying you've got 2 chances, but he would be going, we had 6 chances. But it's at the end of the day, it's what you put at the back of the net.
Yeah, and again, at the end of it, some players can look at the game differently, like the manager, from maybe what the fans viewed over the 90 minutes. Here's James Sands and his view of the game.
We're a locker room full of winners, and when you lose a game like that, 3-0, you're never happy. But there's 2 ways you can look at it. You can either sit there and sulk, or you can try and take something away. So I think that's kind of been the message from the boss.
Yeah, there's no time for sulking. It's Aberdeen at home at the weekend, and any slip up there, and I think the clamour for Gio's head will intensify. Of course, the captain is the man who's got to try and put the brave face on all of this. And at the end of the game, James Tavernier was quick to point out that all the players are backing the manager and the way he wants them to play.
We have full belief in his tactics and whatever he puts out on the match day, and it's down to us as a team, as players, to go out and put performance in for him and the fans. There's been a few games where it's not been good enough, and we've accepted that as a team. We can't let that lapse into our game.
Well, you've got to look at it. The buck stops with the manager, no matter what way you look at this one. Some people say, wait a minute, the players have to take responsibility, but you can cut managers some slack along the way, Ruffy, with a number of things. We've been talking about whether he has enough of the stock from last season there to get all the way through this season. I have my doubts about it, because I sense over the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks that suddenly, there's a kind of an increasing displeasure with the way they're playing, some of the heavy defeats, their performance overall here. It's minus 18 now, goals for and against. So they're now in a situation, Ruffy, where with the last game to go against Ajax, they'd have to beat them by 5-0 just to qualify for the Europa League, which I think realistically we know is not going to happen. But over and above that, if they lose to Ajax at Ibrox, they're in danger of becoming the team that's produced the worst performance ever in Champions League history. I mean, Dynamo Zagreb, I think we're going back to 2011, 2012, hold that record. It's not one that I think they want to hold.
No, I don't think he's got enough in the bank for the whole season. He's game to game, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. He desperately needs a win against Aberdeen. He desperately needs a win in the European tie. That will relieve a bit of the pressure. But unfortunately, when you put yourself in this position, it means that every game is a pressure game, and then you need the players to sort of stand up and be counted in every one of these games, because they're going to depart knowing, we get beat here tonight, our manager's in trouble, sort of a thing. So they need to improve themselves on the park. The first 2 goals last night were just poor defending by two centre-halves.
Yeah.
Just not any awareness at all of who was round about them. But you have to give the striker, a compliment as well for the run that he made and the ball into the box.
Yeah, some people can put a sense of perspective on this. We did mention, and I think you've got to try and offer some sort of balance on all this. And Hugh Scott has said, Peter, I look at it like this. We've been shocking this season, but we're still only 4 points behind Celtic. We're in a semi-final, and if we get going, there's still a lot to play for. I mean, that last part of it is if they get going, and that's where the big conundrum is here.
Yeah, I think it's general performances. I think even if you take the European performances out of it, I think the performance away to Motherwell, the poor, very, very poor first half, 1-2-1, The game against Dundee in the Cup at home, 1-1-0, really poor performance. Livingston, you know, the last 3 performances, that's not the calibre of performances that Rangers supporters are expecting for Rangers. They're expecting to be putting these teams away comfortably, you know, and putting on a show and entertaining the fans. It's not happened. So I think that has got to click, but I don't see it clicking. I don't see, you know, a real buzz about the place. You know, I feel as if I don't think the players have stopped playing for the manager, but I feel it's inevitable with Gio. The way I'm feeling now, the way Rangers are playing, I think it's inevitable. When the next couple of results go against them, then I think he'll be out the door.
Yeah, I mean, there's even looking for morsels, and Gallant, who's a regular Rangers contributor here, says Victoria Pilsen are one goal worse off than us. I mean, we're clutching at straws to say how bad.
Inter Milan, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich, they're a tough group they've had.
I was just about to say, if the modicum of kind of a clutching at straws is, by the way, there's a team who are 1 goal worse off than us for the worst team in the Champions League history. I mean, it doesn't really matter about that, because at the end of the day, Rangers fans wanted to see top flight football. They wanted to see their team maybe try and replicate some of the heroics of last season. But I think we've all been privy to the fact that the levels now are really difficult for the Scottish clubs to compete at. Only Hearts have won 1 game, and even that was against RFS from Latvia.
Yeah, there's a vast difference for what we're playing in and what you're playing in that Champions League. And I think the unfortunate thing for Rangers are the Rangers supporters have experienced a magnificent European run getting to the final. And when you're up there and you see what your team can do, and you've experienced all the highs, it's very difficult to accept the lows, you know. But this is way below the low, the results that they've had. I mean, nobody would imagine Rangers getting beat 7-1 at home. You know, that just shows you the level. But again, you know,
should they have done better, Ruffy? Is it down to the fact that they should have performed better, the way the manager set them out to play, or is it just about the levels that the players and the recruitment and the team that they've got for this season has not been able to build on their achievement of getting to a European final last season? Is it a combination of all?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I would give them the benefit of the doubt that they've lost players are quality and they haven't replaced them. You know, that's a recruitment's problem. You know, you can't lose like Bassi, and you can't lose Aribo. You can't let Balogun go for nothing. You know, when you've got this big season ahead, they've picked up injuries. Golson's a big one. Hollander's been out for a while. Hadji's been out. I mean, you could think up some excuses, but the quality of players that are there should be doing better.
Yeah.
You know, they shouldn't be losing goals the way they're losing them if they're really organised.
Yeah, the group doesn't look too good with only 1 game remaining, and I think even the most ardent of Rangers fan is looking at the goal difference there and saying, well, there isn't a catch chance in hell they're going to take anything off at Ibrox against Ajax that will be significant enough to give them a sniff of a hope on this one. I mean, I looked at the whole group. I looked at the teams that they were playing at, and I thought to myself, I couldn't see a point, Tam, and I still can't see a point at Ibrox either.
I think they should have done better. I really do. I know they're in a hard group, but I think they should have done better. Ajax away, Ajax home. I think you'll be looking to pick up points in those fixtures. Napoli are a very good team, Liverpool, but I think, you know, you could maybe win a game or pick up a couple of draws or something, but you know, it's odds on now that they don't pick up anything. You know, I think Ajax will come, no pressure on them, and Rangers are not going to beat them 5-0. So whether Rangers take that game seriously or not, there's a lot of money at stake for winning the game, but you know, it's a dead rubber really, that game.
Yeah, I mean, DPG says so. Jesus, all of a sudden, bench warmer Balogun is a superstar. I think the point you were trying to make, Ruffy, is, I mean, Balogun is far more experienced than what they ended up putting in there. You know, and players that are not centre halves. Leon King, a young boy, thrust into Champions League at that level, and he hasn't really managed to get. Has he got double figures in Scottish Premiership appearances?
Yeah, you've got to say that Balogun would have been not miles better than the young boy, but the young boy's been thrown in there, and even Davis as well. He hadn't played for a long time, so you had a player who had been playing in European football. I'm trying to make up excuses for them. you know, to say these are the players that aren't there now when they were there in the Europa, because they're nowhere near the side they were in the Europa. Even Morelos is, you know the player that he was as well, and Kent's still to produce something that we all think he's got in him.
It's looking a terrible deal now, letting Balogun go, not giving him a new deal and signing Suter.
Yeah.
That looks like a pure bit of business. Nothing against Suter. He's been through a hard time, but he's injured. Balogun, one thing about him, he's solid, big defender, reliable, never injured.
But even the criticism, some people say, well, wait a minute, it's an easy shot talking about Suter. But it wasn't really an easy shot, because if anything, we were talking about the fact that when he was playing for Hearts, it was great to see him playing well. When he was on the park, he looked a player. But his injury history told you this is a gamble.
Yeah, I think it's one that's not paid off. I know it's hindsight's a great thing. You know, Suter could come in and played well and been in the team, but I think when Balogun goes down to Championship doing really well at QPR, I just think that's one I think if they could have back, I think they would have offered Balogun a deal and maybe not signed Suter.
Yeah, the young boy Yilmaz looks as if he's okay. He's got a good left peg on him. He didn't look overawed when he was in that game.
No, I think he looks a bit stronger defensively than Barisic. Maybe not as good going forward, but Barisic is needing pressure on his place. I think he's had that left back tied up for a long time, and I think his standard of play has deteriorated because he's no pressure, somebody breathing down his neck, and he has now. So that's what you need all over the park. You need players competing for a position, you know, looking over your shoulder, looking at good guys on the bench or in the stand that you know can take your place, and Rangers have not got enough of that at the minute.
Yeah, Bob Miller is having nothing of Ruffy. He says Ruffy can't forget about Rangers getting to the final last season. Gives a break. It's just like the English talking about 1966.
It's only 3 months ago. You know, it's not that long ago. Well, you know, I'm sure the Rangers supporters will still be living in the memories of that. And then,
to be fair, Ruffy, I'm still auctioning off 1967 Celtic signed tops and 1972 Rangers signed tops as well. I mean, we love clutching on to glorious games. I mean, Celtic Rangers fans love talking about reaching finals where they lost as well, just because of the experience of it all.
It's a run, it's the road to wherever you're going, and if you get there, it's a memory that anybody will be in that stadium, anybody that was in the stadium at Manchester, anybody that was in the stadium at Seville. It's a lifetime memory that you were there. Yeah, you would want to win it, but if you don't win it, the best thing is to be there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all we crave, Tam. But
listen, we're a small country. We're not a European powerhouse or a giant that we're going to get in finals every year. So
there was a time, Tam, I know you're of a certain age, but there was a time where we did have in our sides from the 60s, 70s and 80s some absolutely top drawer players. And when they all assembled, we had high hopes of achieving something, but that group of players let us down badly.
Real underachieving group of players, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at some of the names in there and going to World Cups and all that and really bottled it on the big stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's talking about clubs. He's talking about clubs.
No, we're talking about internationals as well. Calm your jets. Anyway, listen, it's a nightmare scenario, but and I think this one here, Paulie says Ajax won't lose 5-0, but it's a winnable game for Rangers. Ajax look poor this season.
Yeah, I think that game in particular, you're not asking me for a prediction now, but I think Rangers will win that. I really do. I think since that first game, they've been dire. They've been conceding goals left, right and centre, and I think Rangers will take them when they come. I really do. I think on the night, yeah, I do.
Well,
I don't think they'll beat them 5-0, but I think on the night they've got a good chance of winning,
Yeah? Have you seen enough from Rangers that you think there's
at home,
something there?
I always think when you're under pressure, big teams always come up with something, particularly at home when there's something to play for, and I think this will be an occasion. Yeah,
well, they haven't done that so far.
No, I know they haven't, but there is an occasional time it does happen, and I think it will be next week.
Yeah, so you've been optimistic about it. You think there's a twist in this one. So next Tuesday you're going Rangers to beat Ajax.
Yeah.
Okay, well listen, that's your opinion. That's what's
lucky we had a bottle of wine last night, by the way.
Lucky, we were texting each other.
Honestly,
4-0, and you'd have had to bottom a bottle of wine. And a good one.
Well, the case was when the third one went in, at what was it? What was it? 80 minutes.
Yeah.
80.
Yeah.
I just get the corkscrew out. There's no point. Here we go. There's no way he's getting this wide.
Actually, see, to be honest with you, when the what do you call it, Ostigard scored the third goal, I thought to myself, 10 minutes to go. This is on, Tam. Did you not think so?
But he took the foot off the gas. He's lucky. He's so lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Listen, at the end of the day, I think the one thing that a lot of Rangers players will realise from that game, especially their movement, their commitment, their high press, their energy, as well as their technical ability. Napoli won't win the Champions League for me, Ruffy, but I'll tell you, I expect them to be quarters, semis, you know, as one of those teams that will be in the mix in the last four. I think it would be superb for them.
Well, there's usually one team pops it for the last 16. I haven't seen the majority of the other group stages, you know, the teams that have been second or whatever. I can't see them a semi-final side. I can see them maybe last 8, you know, and
Yeah.
a good draw in the last 16, and then they'll get one of the big ones when I probably get my team in the quarterfinals or something like that.
Yeah, PSG.
PSG.
Is this the year for you, Ruffy?
This is a year. 3 of them are on fire now up front. Fantastic.
I must admit, I mean, I think Man City are going to. I just cannot see past. If Haaland is fit, I can't see them not winning it finally for Pep.
Yeah, I'd fancy Man City strongly, but I wouldn't discount Napoli. I think they're at full pelt, full strength. You know, you've seen them, they dismantled Liverpool. You know, and you go and beat a team like Liverpool 4-1 at home, then you're a proper team, unbeaten in Serie A. The only thing is, I think they would rather win the Italian league than win the Champions League. I think that it's been so long for them since Maradona, and I think Juventus are a shambles this season. It's wide open Serie A. You know, the dominance that Juventus had over the last 7, 8, 9 years is gone, and it's wide open, that league. So I think Napoli would fancy it strongly this year, win the Scudetto.
Yeah, it could be a season to remember for the Napoli fans. I think you're right. They'd love to see them win the Serie A, but I think they might get last 4, Ruffy. I mean, listen, this is a situation. I'm looking at the results last night, and the one that was screaming out at me as well. Barcelona at home, Barcelona 0, Bayern Munich 3. This is Barcelona deep in debt, desperately hoping they could somehow get, you know, the money that would take them through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. The fans would have been expecting a late run into the latter stages of the Champions League, yet they're bumped out and looking to the Europa League.
Yeah, and I'm sure, you know, and the money that they've spent, well, they shouldn't have spent it. You know, they would be expecting to recoup that in this competition, but that's not the case. So they are in dire straits. You know, it's incredible that wonderful Barcelona team that we all used to rave about has just been dismantled. You know, and now, I mean, I couldn't tell you 3 of their players, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Barcelona. The present Barcelona side.
Yeah, but the one thing about them though is it's a lesson for everyone. When you overspend way beyond your means, and again, it just shows you when you do not have that same structure of scouts, recruitment. I mean, they spent a lot of money on a lot of players that were not Barcelona's level.
Yeah, they really did waste a lot of money on substandard players, and they're not getting the same quality coming through at the youth system. Listen, they're never going to get another, you know, batch of players, you know, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, you know, guys like that who are absolute world class. And it's very difficult to repeat that, but they've not really produced a real superstar. You know, after that, there might be, you know, talk about Gavi, you know, and guys like that, but they've not produced a real superstar in the Messi type category.
Yeah, okay. Of all the other results there, I mean, Inter got a good 4-0 win over Victoria Pilsen, as Gallant had pointed out there. They're not looking too good for their record in European competition. Lots of people reacting to what we're saying. And also, Sean says, Rangers 6, Ajax 0. I had a dream. You've also had about 14 pints of lager, I think. Sean, calm your jet. It's only Thursday. We're not even getting to Tuesday yet. But I think a lot of people are fairly objective on this one. Some people reckon Napoli will be in the latter stages. And as ever, a lot of people looking at the downfall of Barcelona, and it's absolutely incredible to see them. A lot of people saying, Tam, as long as you don't tip Rangers to win next week, they'll be happy with that, because you know, they feel as if you're the Jonah when it comes to being the tipster on this programme. Nevertheless, that's how it all panned out. It's not any better, you know, when the Celtic fans look in the cold light of day. We'll be heading out to Madrid. We're going to be doing shows from out there, Ruffy. We'll be sampling Madrid the city. We'll be obviously sitting, I think we might do a wee bit of the old James Richardson, which is maybe the two of us with our Ray-Bans on, sitting at a table like this with a couple of cocktails and a little bit of you know, Spanish food, tapas, the whole thing, and then maybe one of those sundaes with the strawberries and everything out, just to set the scene for us.
Yeah, it'd be good to, you know, get that environment that we can always see where we are.
Yeah.
Probably be quite warm as well. The sun.
Yeah, be brilliant, won't it? We'll be there. We've got to do what we have to do, Tam. And I know we ventured into the Liverpool shop when we were down there, but we've got to do the tour in the museum. Ruffy,
well, we did the Barcelona one, didn't we? We went into the Barcelona shop.
Yeah.
And we nearly emptied that. It cost us a fortune.
Yeah.
But you know, I think this will be the same. I mean, I've heard that the trophy room is magnificent.
Yeah,
you know that.
And if it all goes according to plan, Ruffy, we're going to lunch with a very special guest as well, which we obviously we'll tell Tam if it all comes off, because sometimes these things can fall by the wayside.
Yeah. But as he is, you know, a big one. He is. I mean, we've dined with a few big people, you know.
Yeah, heavy people. Yeah,
heavy people.
Absolutely. so that's Rangers. What about, just before we go to Tynecastle to speak to Kerry, from a Celtic perspective, the fans now have looked at it. It was a case, so I did point out on reflection, guys, and I don't know how you feel about this, the point about Celtic and their performances in Europe is Celtic fans may well have been happier with the style of play, the commitment, just couldn't get the ball into the net. But you've got to also bear in mind, Tam, Shakhtar Donetsk missed an absolute sitter to win that game 2-1.
Yeah, they did. But I think if you're a Celtic supporter, but you can see what Celtic are trying to do. You can see there's signs of improvement there. You know they're going to be better next year. You know, there was performances put in there that were, you know, it would give you hope for the future. I think when you look at it on a Rangers point of view, you're looking at some of the performances, where's the hope for the future? We're only a couple of players away, if we put our chances away, if we get better quality. I think with Rangers you're looking as if we are miles off it. You know, we need a full team. You know, but I think Celtic supporters, I don't think you can lump the two of them in together. I think that for Celtic there's definitely, you know, hope for the future, that they can get better and they can improve, and I think that's the hope that Celtic fans have got. And the Rangers supporters, I think I don't have any hope at the minute watching their team.
Yeah, if anything, Ruffy, I think it's a lesson for Celtic for the latter stage. I think from 60 minutes onwards is where Ange will be looking and saying, okay, they need to look at that sustained effort over a 90-minute period, which is difficult, and also difficult to recruit players who are capable of doing it. And then I think that the key issue here is the goals. There's no point in saying it's fine margins and we've got, you know, these are chances that weren't converted. It was a sustained period of chances that were not converted, which tells me that the quality just isn't there at that final third.
No, well, I thought right at the very beginning when the group was there, I thought third place was a given, and second place maybe, you know, because we didn't know a love. We're going with Leipzig, what Rangers did to Leipzig, you know, and we looked at Shakhtar Donetsk, and Celtic done particularly well over there. They should have won that game, and then you've got a home game what you would like to think. So I thought third should have been there, and second was a maybe. But I think the Celtic supporters have bought into everything Ange just said. And everything he does say, they believe him, because anything he has said so far, he's come up with the goods. He's come up with attractive football. He's come up with the Japanese players. When they came, everybody went, what? You know, as if they say, you know, what are you doing? But they've all bought into him, and now they're buying into what he's saying, right, I've learned a lesson for this. I know the kind of players that I need to bring to Celtic to get us better next year. So they're buying into that as well. They've got to win the league, obviously. But you know, if he comes up with everything that he said, I'm sure the Celtic supporters will be happy.
Well, there's quite a few on here who are talking about it. Blackadder says we play for the manager, the Rangers don't. that's open to debate. There's a long way to go and a lot of points to be won in the league as well. DPG says, Peter, we missed sitters in the first leg to win it. Jimmy Duff says, Celtic were the worst in their group. The table doesn't lie. And I think that's the key element here. You can spin it whatever.
I think a lot of supporters underestimated Shakhtar. I think because of the war in Ukraine and they're playing away from home. I think a lot of people thought we'll beat them. I thought they were a good side. I know the first game, Celtic probably should have won the game with chances created, but they're a team that's in the Champions League group stages every year, every season. They're experienced at this level. There's probably guys in that Shakhtar team that's played 40, 50 Champions League games, 60 Champions League games. So, you've got to give them a little bit more respect, and I think that a lot of maybe Celtic supporters did, and to us as pundits, maybe never gave them the credit they deserve, because there was a stat the other night, the guy Stepanenko, he's played 60, 70 games in the Champions League. So that's the kind of calibre of players and experience you're up against, and you've got guys at Celtic who this is their first 5 Champions League games ever. So I think you've got to, on that scale of experience and quality, I think you've got to give respect a wee bit to other teams.
I thought one of the worrying side was the Shakhtar team, the Leipzig, and obviously Real Madrid speaks for itself. They were all technically better than us. Technically on the ball, comfortable on the ball. Shakhtar, yeah, even in possession, even in movement, taking the ball out at the back and just passing. When our teams try that, you're a bag of nerves, because you don't think the players are comfortable enough to take it in any given position.
Yeah, I must admit, I think there are failings in the Celtic side that need to be addressed. Maybe, because of the nature of the way Celtic are going about it domestically. They're off the back of winning the Premiership last season. I think a lot of people are in this kind of a love zone with Ange Postecoglou's side. I tend to look and say, you got to look at the record, the way they're playing, and I thought over the campaign, Ruffy, the one glaring problem is scoring goals at that level. I mean, they created about 63. They've had 63. I
don't think Celtic looked out of place technically against them.
I don't. That's what I was just about to say. They had 63 shots, Tam. I mean, even if they'd Henrik Larsson or Chris Sutton in their side, if they were in that team that Celtic have at the moment, they'd have been banging goals in for fun, but they just don't have that quality in the final third. They need a striker of sorts. Boy, did they miss McGregor. He's such a wonderful player, but they definitely need a striker who can score goals.
Yeah, and Giacomakis might be that guy. We don't know, but next season...
I don't think he's prolific. I like him. I think he's beyond criticism.
But how much are you going to pay for a guy that's prolific in the Champions League? Celtic's not got that money. They've got to buy a £4 or £5 million player or whatever it is to try and take a punt. They can't go and buy the finished article, because the finished article is 50 million to score every game in the Champions League.
I must admit though, I'd love to watch the boy Mudryk every day of the week, because coming in on the left hand side, he's got pace, he's got the ability to finish as well. I wonder where he's going to end up in some of the top clubs, Ruffy, because they're all sniffing about him for not January, but I think in the summer he'll get his move.
Well, you can see him even when he plays for his country, he's a wee bit special, and we knew when we saw him there that he was going to be a problem for Celtic, and he has so much pace to burn and get quality finishers. So now you're talking, well, I don't know, Charlie's not here, so we can't put a price on him.
On Mudryk? I think if he, no. I don't think Mudryk has any Celtic background, so he's probably worth a 30 million. But interestingly enough, I cannot believe it. One of our journalists who works for PLZ had a couple of days off for her birthday. Right. She goes to London. She's walking about London, and she bumps into, in a restaurant, French Eddie, Odsonne Edouard.
Oh, right.
I mean, she bumps into Odsonne Edouard, and even I think you would have scored a barrel load as well.
Yeah, well, he had the European feel about him, didn't he? He had that touch and that finish. But I think when you've got that kind of play, you've got to play to suit him. I think, unfortunately, for Giacomakis, Jota wasn't playing. He needs balls getting flashed across the goal, and that's what Celtic are good at.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now we're going to head to Tynecastle, because quite simply our reporter Kerry Pollock is out there for us, looking forward to she's looking forward to the game, and just behind Kerry, Tam, that's where I had my hospitality at the game last week. A wee bit of a starter, a main course, and among all the jambos.
I hope you were supporting the Hearts then, if you're always in the Hearts then.
Well, some of my old friends were there, so I had to obviously try and
sit in your hands.
Try and say, oh, that was a definite penalty. Two definites, yes, absolutely. And Michael Smith was really unlucky.
You get the dream result. Hearts scored 3 and Celtic 1. That was the dream result for you.
And food. What more could you ask for? Kerry will be out there working tonight for this game against RFS. And of course, I think there's a general feeling of confidence among the Tynecastle fans and the team, Kerry, that there's a win is achievable tonight.
Well, of course, Peter, the win is achievable tonight. They've already beaten RFS so far in this European campaign. But just looking at the team news, Robbie Neilson spoke to the press yesterday and they have that injury list that seems endless. I don't think any Premiership manager would envy him, never mind any European manager. So on the injury list, of course, as we know, Craig Halkett, Liam Boyce, Benny Beningame and Kai Rolls. But he said yesterday, adding to that list will be Peter Haring and Nathaniel Atkinson. One positive he did say, though, is that Stephen Humphreys is touch and go. So here's hoping that he can make an appearance tonight.
It's a good point by Kerry Tam. I liked the boy Humphreys in the first half of the game against Celtic. I thought he put himself about in the game. It was a real nuisance, and he, for me, has been a good acquisition for them on loan.
Yeah, he is. He softened him up for Shankland to come and score a hat-trick.
Yeah.
No, but I like to look at him. He's big, he's strong. He's very positive. He runs at defenders. You know, he tries to make things happen as well. So I think if he's fit, I think Hearts would go with the 2. I think this is a game where you've got to win anyway. I think you would go Shankland and Humphreys up front if he's fit.
Yeah, and another positive aspect of this, Kerry, is the fact that they're facing a side that have had one heck of a long season. I mean, I know their coach for RFS has mentioned that they've come off the back of losing the Latvian Cup final and they've had a lot of games, so maybe fatigue might play a part.
Yeah, well, with that Hearts injury list, they will be hoping that Riga will come into the game feeling a little bit sore from the amount of games they've had, though, but they will be coming into the game with confidence, I would imagine. The only thing separating them, of course, other than the point, is that they have a better goal difference than Hearts in the campaign, and they've only lost 1 of their last 15 games domestically, so they'll be looking to get a win here tonight, but they'll also know that Hearts will be desperately looking for a win as well. Hearts haven't won a game in the last 5 fixtures here at Tynecastle, but here's hoping that one Scottish team can do well in Europe so far.
Just inflict the pain on the Celtic and Rangers fans, Kerry, just to remind them they haven't won a game. I mean, the stats are there, as Kerry pointed out, Ruffy. Hearts, if anything, I would think that the performance against Celtic has filled the home support with a bit of confidence. I think the place will be bouncing. It is one of my favourite grounds when the atmosphere is going and the fans are behind the team.
Yeah, I think it will be like that tonight. You know, I think the fans will hang on in there and the evidence of the performance at the weekend. You know, and if you're good enough to go away from home and beat this team 2-0, the fans will be expecting a good win.
Yeah,
tonight.
I've got a feeling that they're going to win it tonight.
Yeah, I think so as well. I would probably go 2-0.
Yeah.
3-0 Hearts.
3-0 to Hearts.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they can win by a couple of goals, and of course then they've obviously got to try and look forward to trying to get back to some sort of form in the league campaign as well. We expect that the Hearts fans will be there in great numbers, Kerry, at Tynecastle tonight to support them. I would imagine that's going to be as near to a sellout as you could possibly hope for.
Yep, Peter, I heard earlier around 17,000 will be in Tynecastle tonight. So a full house, hopefully it'll be absolutely rocking for the home side and they can get that win under their belts if they have any hopes of playing any springtime football since the first time since the 1988-89 season. So fingers crossed it's a great game for Hearts tonight.
Listen, that's the other key element here, and let's be brutal about it. Yes, they can win against RFS, as Kerry's mentioned, but they're not going to go to Turkey and beat Istanbul. If anything, I can see the same outcome as Rangers found last night against Napoli. Istanbul took them apart.
Yeah, two of them apart at Tynecastle. You can't expect them to go there and get anything out of that game. If they were to get anything, it would be hanging on to get a draw or something like that, and maybe they get a player sent off. But no, I think concentrate on this one and send the home fans away with a win.
Yeah, and of course, I did mention it to you, Tam, and the Hearts fans, the Hearts management will certainly be aware of that, is quite simply £500,000 is not to be sniffed at. Every point has a financial reward.
Yeah, and that's why Hearts are in it. They're not going to win the Conference Cup, they're not going to win the Europa League, they're in it for financial gain, you know, and again, there and try and get points for the coefficient. Unfortunately, they've not got many, but this is a huge game for Hearts. To win the game, get 3 points, coefficient points, and get 500 grand. You know, and 500 grand, it can be the difference between them signing or re-signing some of their top players or signing somebody in January.
Yeah, big thanks to Kerry out there at Tynecastle, of course. Some good restaurants around there as well, Ruffy. The only problem is you can't park your car within 5 miles of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Easter
not...
Road's the same, murder.
Yeah.
Edinburgh's terrible for parking and driving.
Yeah, it's Easter Road's difficult to get to at the moment with the tram.
Yep.
Which by the time that gets finished, Ruffy, as I think Tam and I have mentioned, we'll take photographs and come and show you them.
Yeah.
Just as we're dabbing
The graveside.
as we're dabbing the side of your mouth. Hello, do you need any food? Where's your PIN number? He's a bad person.
Guess a PIN number.
Yeah, exactly.
78.
James.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you think about it, you might
It is straight out. It's my favourite part of that movie in Train Spotting 2, isn't it? Ewan McGregor.
1690.
It's absolutely fun. It's the funniest moment if you get a chance. Some people are wondering what we're talking about of a certain generation, but there is a moment in Train Spotting 2 where Ewan McGregor just sums up the lunacy of Celtic and Rangers fans. James Maxwell says, Peter Martin, you're loving it slagging Rangers. James, your head,
absolutely spot on, James.
James, your head's in the clouds because quite simply we want to see Rangers, Celtic and Hearts do well in Europe. I desperately wanted, if I'm going to be honest with you, I desperately wanted Hearts to get into the Europa League, and all they had to do was beat a very poor FC Zurich to do it, but they couldn't do it. Can they do it tonight? Here's what Robbie Nielsen had to say about the big game against RFS. We're looking at just trying to win the game. Obviously, it will depend on what happens in the other game over in Florence, but we have to win to give ourselves some sort of chance. So we will wait and see. We've played well in periods but lost goals at key moments. There's a familiar theme. There are still a good group of players here that are showing good performance levels. Every game you play at Tynecastle, whether it's a cup game or a league game, you want to win it, and it's an opportunity for us to do that. And I think he's got the right attitude, Ruffy, which is quite simple. There's no point in looking and thinking what's going to be happening elsewhere. They will know by the time they kick off tonight. They're hoping that Fiorentina and Istanbul's result will still give them a chance in the final match.
Yeah, well, they've got to win their game tonight, and I think we'll all be rooting for them. I think we will be rooting for them, because obviously if they're in for
They
a
need
chance...
Istanbul to win, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, but if they're in for a chance in Istanbul, I take it we won't be going to Turkey.
Eh?
We'll be going to Turkey, we're not going to Turkey.
I mean, Hearts are playing, you two can go, that's all right.
Can I just say something?
Turkey's a beautiful place.
It is a beautiful place, but can I just say something
Golf
to you?
clubs.
I take golf clubs.
The last time I think I was in Turkey for a game was Fenerbahce against Rangers,
I've never
and
been
the
to Turkey.
Fenerbahce fans were in the ground, Tam, over 2 hours before the game was kicking off. There was 20,000 of them in one end, and there was firecrackers and it seemed to me like bombs going off everywhere inside the ground. The fans outside the ground were scalping our bus with bricks and shaking it. This was only the press. I was thinking, wait till Rangers come in the bus behind us.
Did you have your green PLZ that
I
one?
was like, I was mental. And by the time we get into the stadium, honestly, Ruffy, I mean, there are only two grounds where I have looked at the atmosphere and thought, this place is mental. One of them was Fenerbahce Rangers, and the other one was Red Star Belgrade Rangers, where the ultras just looked like, the craziest people I've ever seen in a ground.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the UEFA fines are with the Turkish teams after a European game with the flares, because the whole place seems to be lit up, so they must have incredible fines off them.
Gregor says here, Peter, Nielsen's current record is worse than Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Why is he escaping scrutiny? Well, it's a strange thing, and it's a good point by Gregor, because quite simply, Tam, I think his stock is higher in Edinburgh, although there are a lot of fans who are totally disenchanted with Robbie Neilson. They just can't take to him as Hearts fans, but
some of them never have, because of the 2-2 game where they were 2-0 up and Hibs come back and drew 2 each and won the replay and won the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
So I think that's still a big bugbear. That's a big bugbear. Yes, I do. I think that game where Hibs won the Scottish Cup, where Hearts were 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, whatever it was, and you put your infamous tweet out. Weight goes on for Hibs.
Can I tell you something? I
think that a lot of Hearts fans don't like him because of that.
Yeah, do you know, I never, it's a rule now from that game onwards, because so many of them keep it, although I do keep it up. I'm not going to take it down. But Ruffy, I never tweet about a game and the way it's looking, because if anything, that Hibs comeback was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was.
Then they won it. It was even worse.
Raging. The 2-0 up against Hibs in the Scottish Cup, Ruffy. You're thinking to yourself, the game's done and dusted.
Well,
unfortunately, some of the Hibs players didn't agree with me and won it. So, listen, you do these sort of things, but I hope that Hearts can get a win tonight, make it interesting. I don't think we'll be going to Turkey, no surprise there. Listen, another little mention here, we're talking about how must the Spurs fans feel after last night, Tam? Harry Kane. This is the thing.
I don't know why they chopped that off.
Neither do I, but this is the thing about the whole VAR as well. You're actually, Harry Kane's running away as if magic.
The euphoria of that last minute goal. That's
fans,
the thing.
Have you seen some of the tweets? The live TikTok of the fans?
That is the thing that I don't like about VAR. And the other one was, I don't know if you watched the Atletico Madrid game. So they...
Up all night?
No, I watched that. So the referee blew, there was a tussle in the box, and Atletico players were appealing for a penalty, and the referee blew the final whistle. But then he had to go and look at the VAR.
Right.
So the game had finished, but then he seen it came off the boy's hand. So Atletico had a penalty after full time, and if they won it, they were still in the Champions League. If they scored the penalty, the boy missed it. The rebound came back, he headed it off the bar, it came back, and then a Atletico player came in and put in the net, and the guy who'd missed the penalty blocked it on the line, his own player, and he went out. That was the game done. 2 each of the Champions League. The guy missed the penalty and blocked his own player on the line. He did a nightmare.
God. You know the gods are against you, Ruffy. I'm going to read out a few messages as well, but listen, if you think Harry Kane was exasperated, here's Antonio Conte.
Sorry, but I'm really upset, because sometimes you can accept the situation. Sometimes I think that is not good, because I don't see honesty in this type of situation. And when I don't see this, I become really upset.
Okay, he didn't mince his words there. So the decision was dishonest. That's what he's saying. I don't think that's lost in translation, do you?
No, but you can see he was upset.
Yeah.
You know, and as a manager, sometimes it's very difficult to handle some decisions that go against your team.
Yeah, Joe says, as a Celtic supporter, I thought Rangers gave it a go, especially in the second half. With a bit of luck, they could have scored. And he did say, Joe, not all Celtic supporters are biased. Joe, I don't think you need to highlight that for us. There's lots of Celtic fans and Rangers fans who can look at a game objectively and just see it as it is. I mean, it's only football. It's not, as Bill Shankly once said, more important than life or death. It's a game of football. You like to look, you like to comment on teams. There is a bit of banter, which we always are well up for, Tam. You can have banter between the fans, as long as it doesn't become abusive. Celtic and Rangers fans, Hibs and Hearts fans, you love that bit of tribalism. We can't take that out of the game. We can take the loonies out, but we can certainly, I think it's good banter, healthy banter, when you're caning your opposite fans for misdemeanours or losing games or going on a dreadful run.
Yeah, I think it's sad at times when you see other fans, you know, whether it's Celtic or Rangers, Hearts or Hibs, and the rival team scores a great goal. You know, and they say, oh, it was a fluke, or the goalie's got to be better, or whatever. Sometimes you've just got to be, as you said, objective. Look at it as a game of football and give credit where it's due. Second half performance last night for the Rangers, you know, I thought it was decent. I think you've got to give them credit for that. And I think a lot of Rangers fans have looked at Celtic's performances, and if they're being honest, you know, I think they'll appreciate that they were in games and they've played well at times and they took chances. But where they get the minority probably in that. But social media is mental at times.
Yeah,
you know, we can see that every day.
last point on the whole thing of European football this week. We're now going back to domestic football after Hearts tonight. Fingers crossed Hearts get a positive result, Ruffy. Is Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, and I've been reading some of the papers as well as listening to fans, some of them disenchanted with him, some saying no, he's going to last a bit longer. If Aberdeen take something, is he a goner?
No, I think it's a draw. I don't think he's a goner.
No.
I think if he loses it, the pressure will mount. I keep thinking the Europa Cup final has got enough. That's a long way to go. I mean, but I get what you're saying. There is a growing movement, whether it's in the media, whether it's in the fans. But I don't think he should go. I really don't. I think there's worse things could happen.
Yeah, you haven't really had a good record this season on managers, defending any managers, because
he never says a manager should go. He's a big softie.
Usually, when he defends them, when we're at this juncture, when he defends a manager, it's usually 4 days later he's gone. Right. I give you Sean Maloney, Graham Alexander, and then suddenly, boom, it's over the edge. Tam, I'm going to ask you the same question. A draw or a win for Aberdeen, is he a goner?
I think a win for Aberdeen, yes. I think a draw, depending on performance levels, it could be a real great performance and draw. But I just think I think it's in the post. It's inevitable. I think that he's not going to be there long, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, isn't it?
He wins.
They might go and beat Aberdeen 5-0, and that could be a turning point for them. But Rangers need to convince me that they've got that in them. You go and win 4 or 5-0, you think that Rangers are back, that you can go and kick on for that. I don't see it at the minute.
Yeah, Bartholomew says Rangers can't afford to sack him. That's another debate.
Yep.
But I have to say that I don't think Rangers will lose on Saturday against Aberdeen, if only for the fact that Aberdeen, if you look at their record coming down to Ibrox, it's atrocious.
Yeah.
And I don't think Rangers will win 4 or 5-0, to be honest with you, but I think they will scrape a win on that one. It's as simple as that. You might disagree. You can give us your thoughts on it. A couple of things before we go. Here are the fixtures for the weekend that we can all look forward to in the Scottish Premiership. Dundee United against Motherwell, Hibs against St Mirren, Rangers against Aberdeen, and then it's St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Livingston against Celtic, and Ross County against Hearts. And again, it's amazing how things can and flip, and as so many of our viewers have pointed out over the course of this weekend, it could change again. It's only 4 points of a difference. Suddenly, Livingston, if they produce what they're capable of producing, and they have been a thorn in Celtic's side at that Livingston Stadium.
Yeah, there's been a thorn on a lot of team sides. We've sat here on numerous occasions, as far as Rangers and Celtic are concerned. You say, no, it could be 8 points after this weekend, and then lo and behold, it's only 2 points. So you've got to go out and win your games, and in our league, anything's possible with the results that we've seen.
Gallant says Aberdeen have won 1 game at Ibrox since 1991. Yep. That gives you an indication of how rank rotten Aberdeen have been. So I think... I look at Rangers, and at the moment I think they can just forget about the European campaign, put it to bed, and now concentrate on the league campaign and trying to get some sort of form. And as you say, they need to kick-start it. It could come against Aberdeen. You can give us your thoughts on that as well. And Celtic fans out there, the one thing that I think goes against Rangers in this whole thing, Ruffy, is the fact that Celtic domestically just look as if they are going through the gears.
Yeah, they're going through the gears as well, but they haven't been let down. The only time they've been let down is obviously St Mirren with the substitutes, coming on. Generally, when after say 60 minutes, when he said, right, he's had enough, I'll take the 3 off and I'll put another 3 on. The 3 that come on generally cause the damage, apart from the St Mirren game. But that's been the success this year. It just remains to be seen whether they continue to do that.
I don't think he'll make that mistake again.
I dropped him like a half a team.
He dropped off half a team right before an international break. I think he will never do that again at Celtic. Well, it'll
be interesting to see exactly what happens when he was talking about, one of our viewers said the stats don't lie. They don't. Celtic are bottom of that table for a reason, can't score goals. And when he was saying, these players are going through a learning curve, It'll be interesting to see how many of them he perseveres with. I think he'll change it and try and get one or two in the January transfer window to kick on, and then in the summer I think you'll see a change again of players that he will realise can't cut it at Champions League level, and just shift them on to get another calibre of player, as will Rangers. They will have to look and maybe, you know, gut out more than a few players than Celtic have to in both transfer windows coming up. Listen, just before we go, the one thing that's going to be great about this weekend, Ruffy, that we're looking forward to, is it'll be another weekend of VAR. And I noticed a little article in the newspapers about referees in Scotland. How much do you think they get paid part-time for working top flight games?
To referee
Their game?
Yeah.
$750.
$750. Not a bad shout, Ruffy. $850 per game. Top flight game. The assistant gets 450 and they get 45 pence a mile for expenses. Championship referee gets 500 quid.
Yeah.
And 250 for the assistant referee. League One, £320 for the referee. League Two, £260. If you've got guys like Willie Collum and John Beaton who have been in European matches, they'll probably get somewhere between 2,500 to 7,000 per game. But are you ready for it? The English Premier League, full time, and depending on their seniority, £70,000 to £200,000 a year for some of the top referees, Tam.
It's great money, isn't it? But honestly, I wouldn't do it for all the money in the world being a referee.
No.
I just couldn't do it.
Just out of curiosity, Tam,
maybe 200 grand. Maybe 200 grand.
200 grand and your wife saying, "Listen, Tam, you're going to have to take the flag." The only difference is it's like Twitter, only you have to face up to what you say.
I got enough eating in the house. Never been getting the part and on at my work. But it's a really difficult job being a referee.
Does it say what the referee gets that's up in the skybox? Since it's referees now are up in the skybox.
Yeah, and the VAR.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine they will get
skybox.
Yeah.
Well, when they're up, given the
VAR.
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever they are.
At the headquarters out
it's
at
referees
Easter
that do
House.
that.
Yeah. He just makes things up that come into his head. The skybox.
What are they getting?
Well, they'll undoubtedly get somewhere, but I would imagine between 500 and 800 quid. 500.
At the telly.
That's a better one, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a better one. Because
they're naming them now, so it's maybe not so
I know.
good.
I can't even believe they told them where the VAR stations were. But yeah, listen, for £200,000 a year, would you be a ref, Ruff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily, yeah. I could make a mess of that for that.
You can handle everybody shouting at you and getting you abuse.
You're right,
Yeah,
you're right.
And Malky says, and Malky's putting it in perspective, and I think you're right, Malky. Joking aside, £850 is not bad for one game freelance.
Aye.
You know, you're part time and you've got other jobs, and most of them have got some
Full time job and doing that part time. It's a great wee
You could really rip out it and move up the Shetland Islands. What are you getting for the mileage?
Well, 45. Only Ruffy could think 45 pence a mile. This is what
1,000 miles your motor.
This is what I'm getting for my expenses. Anyway, it was just interesting. We will see. Chris Fraser says, PLZ, watch what happens at Ibrox on Saturday. Aberdeen will get nothing. Chris, I share your view on it. I don't see Aberdeen coming down and beating Rangers. I think Rangers will win on Saturday.
Decisions, or is he talking about the game, the result?
Doesn't really matter. Either. Doesn't really matter. I think Rangers will win because I don't think Aberdeen are capable. I don't think they've got enough players with a little bit of fight in them to go down there and cause this Rangers side any problems. So we shall see. It's all about opinions, and that's the great thing about PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and the programme, and of course our content. It's uncensored. You get breaking football news and you get a bit of banter as well, and you can also engage with other people. It's absolutely free to watch our online content. There's so much there for you to delve into, and of course next week I'm really looking forward to it. We'll be out in Madrid. It might be a dead rubber, but Ruffy and I will give you a little flavour of the city of Madrid, interview a few people along the way, and bring you all the latest from that game. And we will be keeping our eye on the Tuesday night match between Rangers and Ajax, as well as hoping that tonight Hearts can keep it all alive for their match away in Turkey against Istanbul. There's so much to look forward to in football content on this station. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and join the football family. From Ruffy, from Tam McManus and from myself, Peter Martin, thanks for watching.